Hello, I'm just updating my Nightblade Tank build for the Scalebreaker patch, and she has completed pretty much all content but some of the DLC hard modes, so that's next on the list. I've done that, just not with her. Okay, so just to show you what she's done. Really good off tank for VSO. Okay, so generally on her I'll use the tri-stat food. That's the one I like to use. And so these are my normal stats on front bar. I do use the tri-stat potions. You make those and Columbine and Mountain Flower. So just to show you what those do. Okay, and right now the gear I have on her, I pretty much always keep on ALCHEMY for trials, for the 5th piece bonus. And you can track your up times on that on your buffs on the top of your screen on the target. And you can adjust your enchants to get your desired results. These are just the ones I have because I like to have a little bit more stam on my front bar and a little bit more magic on my back bar. So back bar I generally use the lightning staff. I do have an ice staff, just happens to be on my DK tank right now. Right now I have Earth Gore on. That's just because I was doing VCR. Generally, I like to keep on Lord Warden. It helps boost the resistances. Nightblade tanks don't have a bunch of them, bunch of resistance. So it's nice to have that extra. But on my big pieces, I like to put on the tri-stat glyphs. And right now I perfected Yolnukrin on with the ALCHEMY. That would be your main tank general setup for most content. And I like to go more heavy for more resistances, but you can also use a medium too. I have also done a light and a medium. It's just not that great for some of the heavy hitting content. Okay, and to show you what the 5th piece or the bonuses on these are. And because you taunt frequently, that should always be up. And I just happen to have infuse on some of these because I haven't transmuted them. I have another full set on my DK, so it just takes a while to transmute everything. I would probably put it to sturdy. I usually do big piece infuse, small sturdy, but you can do whatever combination you like. And that's my guild. Okay, so I happen to have this one as Harmony because I was doing VCR. I do have another one here that is regular Robust. You can play with Triune or whatever you want to use. I have more gold Alcautious just on my other tanks. And I have those rings on here that are also Harmony, but I usually do Robust for most stuff. Some of the other sets that you would need to use are Ebon, and the same general concept. This is a selfish set. You can use Italian Defender, but I'd only really use that if you have a lot of blocking to do, and that's usually just if you want to go do something off by yourself like VSO, off tanking, etc. I do have some of the Yolnukrin for weapons and jewelry. That used to be because for VSS the ALCHEMY wasn't very good uptime, so I'd pair this with Ebon as main tank. So off tank is when you would put on the Ebon. There's also Torag's Pact. I usually just keep this on healers in my group, but it is an option in case anyone needs for you to run that. And for the heads, the monster sets, I also, so Earthgore would be just for VCR, or if you need any sort of heal or cleanse just on yourself. Stonekeeper is something that I will use for VSS. It's pretty much the only place I use it, just because it gives you that that extra either stam mag or healing, whatever you need. There are other monster sets like Carcosa or Thorbican that you can use. There's also Bloodspawn. I just don't have it on this tank right now, and I would not suggest Chudon because you can get your the stuff from that in skills and passives. Okay, so just to show you generally what the character sheet looks like without any buffs. So this is one right here. I need to put back on my robust jewelry. And now you can see that my stamina is higher than my magicka. Just with that setup I had on, it was a combination of what I usually wear for other trials and what I wear for VCR. Otherwise, my stam's always higher than my mag on this bar. And on this bar, my magicka is higher than my stamina, so that when I use an orb or a shard, it regens that, so I can control what I need more of. You do need a lot of magicka on a Nightblade tank generally. I don't usually have Absorb Missile on, that's just for VCR. So what I usually have on is Heroic Slash. You can switch that out whenever you need to. I just like having it on because of the ulti gen. So with the Nightblade you can keep up your ultimates a lot because of the passive that they have with the potions. So keep popping your potions on that. Okay, and champion points. The red tree can change depending on content. I have this set for VCR now. You can find many different charts online for those, so I'm not going to go over what I would do for every trial, but this is what I tanked VCR in yesterday. Green CP can change as well. I don't really need Sprinter because I have Refreshing Path on and I move fast everywhere. And your regen on mag stand from leeching, so you don't need high in tenacity. Or those guys. And I just like reduced block cost. You need a little help with that. Blue CP. These ones don't matter as much to me. You can do whatever you'd like. I just like to have about this much. You know, Born and Blessed. Okay, so for skills, this is my general bar setup, Silver Leash, so you can pull things to you. I found that sometimes you have to go into first person to chain the thing that you want, especially if you have something hard targeted, it'll always chain that. Be careful you don't chain the dragon and VSS off the other tank, because it will take the aggro away to you. It's not actually an aggro ability, but it does get the dragon's attention for whatever reason. Like Pierce Armor, you can also use Ransack. There's the Heroic Slash, the Heroism, Dark Cloak. This is not a spammable heal. A lot of people incorrectly use it like that. It's a heal over time, so you would want to use this once every 8 seconds to keep it up, and you get minor protection, which is nice, and that little bit of a heal. Swallow Soul is what I kind of like to keep on for my personal heal. It's not huge, but you're just keeping a lot of these up, so they do help over time. I like to have this one on for most things that are heavy hitting. I use it in VCR and VSS. And because it gives major protection for you and anyone else in the ring. So it's really nice to have that. And others can heal for a huge amount too. So this is why I like it in VCR. If I happen to put that down, then that's helpful as well. I generally do keep Aggressive Warhorn on though, and keep that up. The Bolstering Darkness is just if you need to have it. I also will put on Soul Harvest sometimes because you can regen ultimate. It's not as good as it used to be because it used to just be with having it slotted and I have to kill an enemy. So not that big of a fan of it anymore. Okay, refreshing path. I like to keep that down just for the major expedition alone. It is very nice to be able to efficiently get the things you need and group them quickly. And it heals you and allies. A little bit of a tick. It's nice to keep it up. But when you do keep that up, you also get passives from it. So you get recovery for having that slotted. You get major resolve and major ward for 6 seconds. And increases your max health and the duration of your abilities. So that's nice to have. That's why I keep Dark Cloak on the front bar. I don't know why it has that lock symbol on it. So that's why I keep that on that bar. And Refreshing Path on this bar for those passives. Okay, so Mirage, I really like to keep that on. It gives me major evasion and minor resolve and minor ward. So those are up. It's really nice. Blockade of Storms is what you'll want to keep down to proc your Crusher enchant and to help with off balance, especially with those Magplars and all that. Into Thaumaturge and the stamina. Inner Rage, for the range taunt, I like to keep it on the back bar in case I get stuck on that bar and I can still taunt stuff. And Leeching Strikes, you'll want to keep that active, but you want to wait for it to run out, because when it runs out, then it gives you additional stamina when it's over. So this is why it's important to light and heavy attack as you can to get the heal from this and to restore stamina. If it's a fully charged heavy attack, you restore more stamina, so only block the things you need to on a Nightblade tank. You'll learn what that is. You can't just perma block like you would on a DK. Okay, so just to show you on the assassin abilities, I keep Mirage on this bar. And this one's not as important. This is all for crit damage stuff. But it can help you a little bit with your heals. Okay, and we already went over Shadow and then Siphoning. So the reason why I keep Swallow on one bar and Leeching on the other, so I can gain more ultimate when I drink potions. I can increase my max magicka and the healing done and ultimate regen. So that's why that is nice. You can also put Sap Essence on. It's just a nice little extra heal. Like, let's say if you don't need anything else, you don't need Silver Leash, you put those on. So the other things that you'll want to have available, I don't really use Spell Wall. I've tried it. I'm not that big of a fan. Absorb Missile for taking those heavies in VCR. You can also use it in VMAL. Just shield charge, whatever, so for VHOF, so you can get back faster. You also don't have to have this because you have Refreshing Path, so you run pretty fast. Make sure you have all your passives. Destruction Staff for utility, you'll want Crushing Shock. You'll slot that on your destro bar in case you need to interrupt, like let's say on Hellra and other instances, VHOF. And Elemental Drain, you want to put on your bar in VCR. I generally replace Blockade with this because there are usually 3 tanks and 2 healers, so I don't need to keep that up. So I can put it on the crystals downstairs. There's other instances when you'll need that as well. And because I have done 511, that's why I have these passives in here. Don't need to do that. Definitely want all the heavy. Okay, Fighters Guild, you'll want your Silver Leash and you'll want Ring of Preservation. I use this in places like VHOF. So it gives minor protection and minor endurance, which, see, is different from the major protection that you get from the Bolstering Darkness. It's always nice to have more ulti. Okay, I don't use anything from the Mages Guild. I know that's unusual. People usually use the balance ability, but I don't need to do that because you get those passives from other areas. Nightblade Tank. Okay, and Undaunted, you'll want to have Overflowing Altar on for VCR. You want to have Shadow Silk as an extra synergy and damage help, just kind of as a flex spot. Bone Surge, use that for VCR too because it gives Major Vitality for the Baneful. But it has to be activated by somebody else. Okay, so Energy Orb, I like to have this on just because there aren't as many floating around now with the healer changes. It's just an option. Make sure you have your passives in here. Okay, and I have a Aggressive Warhorn on. I don't use Vigor on a Nightblade tank, but if you do use Powerful Assault, you would put that on. I just haven't had to use it yet. Do you want to have, I don't use Barrier at all because you don't really need the passives from that. You do want Efficient Purge for places like Behoff or Vmol. Mystic Guard is good to have in VSS if you need to guard the other tank on the last boss. Not necessary, just good to have. I am a high elf, so when I use my class abilities, then I restore things, which is nice. It's nice for the sustain. Increase my max magicka, because you want a lot of max magicka. Spell damage just for heals, I suppose. And you want to make sure that you have medicinal use so that your potions are 100% up. Okay, so just to show you what the difference is in the character sheet between buffed and unbuffed. And this is the front bar. Okay, so if I have this guy and this guy up, you'll see my resistances have shot up to near cap. And then when Lord Warden procs, it's over cap. So just to put on, let's say I'm using Stonekeeper instead. It's a bit lower, but it's nice to have those back. You can still survive most stuff with those resistances. You don't really want to go much over. If you're going up to like 35 or something, you're way over cap. You could be using your stuff elsewhere. But if you see I have higher magicka recovery, I like having a shield play and 2 magicka recovery on my jewelry. Stam recovery does not need to be high at all because you get it from leeching. And there you go. So I think that's pretty much it for updated Nightblade tank video. Let me know if you have any questions.